Okay, so I guess we're playing this now. I mean, this game is 2004, so it's a fair bit old. Basically, everyone who's... I'm looking at the back here. All the websites that it says you should go to, all the companies that were involved. I think Nvidia is still around, but Elixir Studios, I know they're gone. Sierra, they're gone. Vivendi, Universal, I think this was their only game. It's all gone. Anyway, so this is the first mission of the game. We're on the first island. There are 2 islands in the game. This is your starter island. These are the objectives. You don't need to read them. It's just build one of everything. So you basically need to start planning your island. Now, with Island 2, you don't start off with an entrance pre-built. You have to choose where. And additionally, so there are 2 ports. There's a port by sea, and there's a port by air. Now in this game, in this island rather, they're both right next door to each other, and this guy is handily placed in between. All this rock you can't build along. This guy is right facing him, but you know, about as equal as he is to him. But if you want to do that, then suddenly, rather than this being the entrance to your base and this being the secure mid that you have to get past this base, suddenly this is an exposure, this is an exposure. This entire area is compromised. It's only once you get past this bottleneck that you can start to build things here. It doesn't matter too bad, you could do that. But it leads to a lot of chaos, especially if you're trying to cram in rooms. What I like to do these days, I used to not. Most people tend to just go, okay, I need the first room, I guess I'll build the barracks, because everyone recognises a strong room shouldn't be the first thing, and they do that. You need this little 2-bit nib to make a door, and then you build the thing in here. This isn't the worst idea in the world, because this is where your minions will come to rest, and if agents are having to break through here, then they're going to bump into a lot of minions first. But this does mean that this area is full of traffic. It means that this door is constantly open and closed. People are constantly going to be walking here. It's going to be a maelstrom of agents, lost tourists, confused because minions who get exhausted or depleted in their stats will be brought to a barracks or a staff room. So there'll be a lot of people here who are just comatose and unable to help. It's going to be literally just people everywhere. And it's not so much that that means it's more dangerous. It just means that it's more chaotic from a management point of view, and it can be a bit stressful. Nonetheless, the principle that the barracks should be a go-through to get to the rest of the base is a sound one, because, like I said, it means that you are constantly... there's at least one layer of benign security. If you had an armory there, guys are going to walk in looking for trouble, they're going to see a big rack of guns, that's all they need to see. If they walk in and it's just where the staff are sleeping, they don't find that, you know, incriminating, and it also means you have minions on hand to deal with them. The first best thing to do, I found after many years, is build a U-bend. This is partly because, and I'm going to put that there for reasons that will become clear later, and I might even... I won't put one there for now, but I'll leave that space open. The other one thing is you want to use all the space, and there's just this start off, you always end up with little bits everywhere. Sometimes if you're bored and you've got nothing else to do, you might put a little trap there. But, oh yeah, so these agents are wandering around. These guys will do nothing. They are literally there as tutorial bait to teach you what agents do and how to deal with them. They won't leave. They physically can't find anything incriminating right now. This is a little tip early on that I always forget to stick by, because it doesn't matter that much, but it's if you're building between 2 rooms, you want to have, you know, a 2-part segment to build a door there to make security. Now obviously that's going to cost you extra money to build those 2 things. So if you are building a corridor leading into a laboratory, it makes sense to make the nib be a corridor, right? Because if you're spending on a laboratory, that's going to be like 400 per tile. So you're spending 800 where you could spend 200 for the exact same outcome, because all you need is space for a door. But it's petty cash at that point, so it doesn't really matter, but it's just something to bear in mind. So I'm going to build this guy. The reason I'm going to build this guy up here, potentially, actually, do you know what? I'm going to cancel him, but I'm going to leave that open. It's because, especially later in the game, like when I get the second island, I will definitely do this. It's a nice idea to build little extensions coming off these the entrance U-turn, and this is for 2 reasons. The first is that you put a door here, and agents are drawn to doors like moth to a candle, so they're going to want to go and open that door. So you're wasting their time already. Every agent has a predetermined amount of time they will spend on the island trying to find evil deeds. I'm unclear if they do discover evil deeds, if that resets or elongates their time so they have more evidence finding material now they know they're onto something. But generally, especially lower tier agents, once they find one incriminating act, that's all they need and they'll rush back to base. The more experienced agents, and I'll explain the experience at some point, will hang around trying to find more evidence of evil doing so as to build a strong case against you and increase your heat and therefore further repercussions from international governments, more so than if they just found the first original thing that the newbie guys ran off with. So, you want to be wasting their time with doors. They love opening doors, they're going to run to doors. There's not much point putting loads of doors in the way of the main corridor, because this is your corridor. People are going to be coming and going from here. If you're putting doors in the way, then two things are going to happen. Either you're wasting loads of power, and I'll explain power later as well, on a bunch of doors that are constant. In fact, no, actually one thing's happening. You're wasting a lot of power on doors that are constantly open, because the way agents deal with doors is they stand there for a little while waiting for someone to walk by and open the door, because when your minions walk through, the door opens and they rush in behind your minion, and the act of rushing in behind your minion deactivates the door for a few seconds because the door's gotten confused, I guess. It's to allow the agents time to run through. Which means if the agent's trying to break into a really secret area that basically no one goes in, that's not going to fly, which is fine. But if they're trying to get through a corridor, they only need to wait for your natural traffic, which is why it's a good idea to have high traffic areas and low traffic areas so as to avoid, you know, if you put your storeroom in the middle of your main thoroughfare, then of course people are going to be going through it constantly, those doors are always going to be open, now your storeroom's doors are worthless, what's the point in having them? That's all it really is to it. However, if you build them on the side here, and then what's more, doors come with security tags, so I will put a door, at least there's just at least one, in the front way, because, you know, it's a good idea. Doors come with 4 settings. 1 opens to everyone, 2 only opens to your guys as opposed to agents and tourists, 3 only opens to you, the evil genius, and 4 only opens to you, the evil genius, and there is a guard placed either side. Now, this is a nice little feature just for cosmetics, but really it doesn't make the biggest difference. Your evil genius should never, once the game gets properly going, be anywhere near anything that could remotely put them in danger, warranting guards, and if they are anywhere that warrants a guard, they will be somewhere where it's necessary for other minions to gain access to that room, so having a guard there further renders pointless the evil genius leaving his literal inner sanctum. However, if you make little random rooms and make them level 4, that's tantalizing because, ooh, top secret, but then they're guarded by guards. What do you end up with? You end up with a nub that's a pointless waste of time to agents, and if the agents try and break into that room, they are automatically tagged with a capture, and the 2 guards either side will immediately set upon them. This immediately deals with them, they can be put into prisons, and they can be processed, either killed or brainwashed or whatever, and set back into the wild. And it also means that if someone is trying to escape with evil, with evidence of my evil doings, I can just set a tag on them, and then rather than going, oh gee, but they've already gotten past all my base where all the minions are, I know that I am guaranteed that there will be at least 2, and if I can get more space in, maybe 4 guys who will spot them, and these guys will have weapons, because when they stand to post, they grab a weapon, which means that they'll shoot at them from a distance rather than chasing after them at the same running speed as everyone else in the game, trying to punch them. And it also means that henchmen are usually very likely to take up guard posts in addition to military units, which means your toughest guys are going to be on call where you need them. Guard posts in this way are a brilliant little tool for anyone trying to play this game, because it means that you are guaranteed to have, because otherwise your henchmen just wander, and that's fine, but it means if you need someone, they're all the way over here, they're gonna have to run, they're not going to get there. Some 1 or maybe 2 of the henchmen can teleport, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm just talking. So it's an instinct to make this room really big, but you don't need it that big, and I'm apologising for my breaking voice. guess I'm just going through puberty at age 20, whatever. So, barracks is where everyone will come. So each minion has stats. They do this wonderful thing where they salute you, and in fact they actually, certainly for the first little bit of the game, when you walk into a room and your aura, which is this thing here, which increases, you see it changes blue and purple. That represents the stats. In fact, I'll do this in order then. Everyone has stats. They've got their endurance, their attention, smarts, loyalty, health. Health goes 0, they die. Loyalty goes 0, they run away. These two go 0, they turn into kind of like a stupor. That one versus 0, they pass out. They expend various things in various ways. Health through being hurt. Loyalty through just generally it tends to dwindle a little bit, but also through doing things they find unpalatable, like dealing with body bags and the deaths of other people. Because they're evil, but they're not heartless. Smarts and attention are drained from doing complex tasks for a long period of time, and endurance is drained from just, working. They need to replenish these, and that's what the staff rooms are for. The barracks replenishes endurance. You notice it's coloured green? Well, it's because it raises endurance. They will be brought, if they pass out, they'll be brought there by other minions, and if they just feel tired and they haven't passed out yet, they might just clock out and go to a barracks. So this is semi-important, and it means that people will constantly be in here, which is why it's a good idea. I mean, we're sort of forced by the fact that we only have access to 3 rooms and a corridor right now, and 2 of the other rooms are vitally important and shouldn't be put anywhere near the front of the base. Nonetheless, even if we had a broader array of options, it would be a good idea to put the barracks early on, because barracks and other staff rooms are clean rooms, unless you deliberately put items in there which have heat. Which is to say, they attract attention, negative attention from the forces of law and justice. They will be entirely benign. And it also means, like I said already, you will have minions there on hand to deal with whatever you need dealing with. The entrance of your base needs to be a multi-layered security force, whether through time-wasting tactics, literal security forces, having minions on hand, having traps, having things like that. Now, traps are awesome, but they don't get used nearly so much as you'd imagine, because most of the places agents will be coming in will be places that your minions will be coming in, which means if you put up traps, you're going to start losing minions to traps. Now, that's hilarious, but it can be a bit of a waste on resources. Now, normally my instinct is always to kit out this place exactly as I intend it to be used. So I put out like a million different bunk beds and things, and then I put out lockers. However, the game doesn't actually register this objective, build a barracks. You need at least 1 bunk bed and locker. If I told them to build all the lockers and all the bunk beds they were going to build in the end, they would waste all their time building all the lockers first because they're cheaper, or the other way around. They waste all their time building one of them before they move on to the other because of the way the game makes them prioritize things. That's sort of fine, but I'm interested in moving on quite quickly. Yeah, this seems interesting. Why not? Let's do it like this. And in fact, yes, that could work. What I mean by that could work is this. So, no, but then that wouldn't. Okay, well, it's open to. Oh no, wait. Well, what am I doing? Well, I'll think about it, but basically, it doesn't matter so much. In the early game, I mean, firstly, the missions that we're going to deal with here aren't of such vital importance that you need to get it right. But also, I'm going to just up, even though we don't have those people yet, it's going to momentarily jump up once I... Yep, task complete, 21. So now I'm going to put it up to 21, because why not? It's always helpful. The more I have around, the more they can do. You see, immediately they go to sleep, because whatever. But yeah, so initially when this game always starts off, for like the first, let's see if it happens. Oh no, maybe it's already not happening. Usually when the game first begins, there's a little bit of code, I guess, or programming that tells minions when the evil genius walks into their presence, their job is to stop what they're doing and salute. And it's pretty cool. You walk into a room and everyone stops what they're doing and salutes. This is almost immediately lost. Like the next time you save and quit and reload, they've already forgotten how to do this. They salute when you double click on them. And in fact, this is a neat strat. When people are fleeing because their loyalty's low, so they're running away, you want to capture them and, you know, re-indoctrinate them just because you don't want to lose a minion. If you keep double clicking on them, they keep stopping running away to salute whilst everyone beats them up. Yep, so people aren't saluting her anymore, which is a shame. I could kill them, but it's a coding thing, it's not a loyalty thing. Anyway, what I was talking about before, it doesn't matter so much with the first base, because firstly we are limited by the bottleneck design of this base, and by the fact that we are piecemeal given the rooms that we need, which means we can't choose to put them in an order that we found to be the most useful. But a strat that I found a little while ago, I don't know if I invented it myself, I'd like to think I invented it myself, but I'm not going to assume, is having the storeroom right near the front of the base. And you think, well, surely then agents are going to come in and steal. There are loads of different types of agents, including thieves, who are specifically looking for your storeroom to recover stuff that you took from them. Well, yes, but here's the thing. The actual entrance will be, like, here, and you can only access it from going all the way around, yada yada yada. What will go here is the briefcase rack, and as you can see with these guys, I'm unsure if I'm building anything at the moment, so no. Okay, what I'll do then is I'll build this chap here. Now, control room's always a bit of a bugger for me to lay out, because I mean, it's nice to have an aesthetic, isn't it? It's nice to have to think that you can, like, have everyone laying out like that. But there's each control panel provides a limited number of. It's hard to explain without being able to click on the damn thing, and I can't click on the damn thing until I build the room. But essentially, each control panel allows you access to a certain level of information, and there is a maximum level of information that you need to be able to get all the information in the game in order to play it properly. That level is, I believe, 5 control panels or something similar to that. This is an inefficient use of space, because what am I going to do with this guy back here? Oh no, I'll just use that for the cafeteria and the... Yeah, okay, whatever, this is fine. What will I do with this guy? I'll do something. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Sure, whatever, I don't care. So there's a minimum number of control panels you need to be able to play the game properly, and anything above that is sort of a waste of time. Oh wait, yeah, so here I am. So, this is the storeroom currently, because you need a storeroom, otherwise the gold physically can't go anywhere. That's how people get the money. It comes from the briefcase rack, and it depletes from the store. They don't actually need to physically access the gold piles. You could jury rig it up, as I do. So, this is my plan. Pretend that room isn't there. You have the entrance back here. You put the briefcase here, and the briefcase is in an open space, opening onto a corridor. The briefcase rack, agents do not interact with it. It is neither an object they consider of any criminal note, nor do they physically steal. They have to physically access the gold pile to steal the gold bars. They don't steal briefcases, which means my minions can now easily access both the money that's coming in from theft abroad and bring it straight to the vault, and they can take it from the vault to purchase, and it's right next to the areas that they need to be in, so they can be like, oh, you're building a thing? Well, I'm right here in the staff room, I'm going to go to here, as opposed to having to run all the way to the most secure parts of the base and running all the way back. It saves so much time, and yeah, like, I'm going to do something similar to that, but I can't do it in this way, because obviously that would mean that opens onto there. I mean, I guess like that, but then, no, see, it's not going to work now, which is a shame. I should have thought that through a bit better, but it doesn't really matter. It's just time saving. I'll certainly do it on the second island. Everyone's waiting up here to blow up the room with the dynamite. Sometimes there's a little bit quirky of the pathfinding as they're all waiting their turn. Oh yeah, they also take a health hit. Whoever pushes the button to blow up the base, they always take a health hit. What's probably worth doing now with all these layabouts is, I'm not going to build too many, because you can quite easily bankrupt yourself, because you as of yet have no cash flow. But you know what, that'll do. So these guys will build that. I guess the storeroom. You know what? It's non-standard, but maybe if they can just access it from the back of the control room. I mean, who cares, right? It's a bit of an ugly... I hate it when, like, it's a bit diagonal like that, but that's nothing wrong with it gameplay-wise. And people would be coming and going, and no one would be going in through that door, really. I may well do that. I may well do that. Yeah, fuck it, why not? Actually, do you know what? That's so fucking ugly, though. I have to indulge my desire for order. Yeah, that'll do. Where was I? Yeah, so this guy, you have your control panels, which they man, and 2 people per desk, and it only works if there are 2 people at each desk. So you're looking at, if you want, I think it's 6. If you're looking at 6 panels, then you're looking at 12 people. And when anyone gets up, that information's immediately lost. So you're like looking at the world map, and you're trying to figure out how much information you need for everything. If one guy literally just stands up to stretch his back, immediately that control panel isn't working anymore because it's only got 1 person at it, and immediately you lose the information necessary from that control panel. If you have people manning memory banks, they serve as a stopgap, they serve as a go-between. So depending on the number of memory banks you have built, the information collected will retain for a number of seconds, minutes, depending on how many you build. It could be upwards of hours. I used to build loads when I was a kid because they looked cool and I wanted a whole bank of them, and I still do that. But to be honest, they're not as essential as they seem. A lot of things in this game aren't as essential as they seem, but it's fun to just play along. So with that all said, these are the first rooms you need to build. Oh, and okay, so the way you unlock the next couple of rooms is I will tell someone to kill these guys. Oftentimes I just send my henchmen because these guys are busy and, you know, the henchmen physically can't lose to these guys. But, you know, when he kills them, you will unlock the freezer, which is where you put body bags so as to stop them causing. So every body bag will have an aura around it, very much similar to this aura. Everything in the game that affects stats passively will be affected with an aura. The aura here will also affect attention and loyalty, but it will affect it negatively. People who are surrounded by body bags will be distracted and feel guilty. If you put them in a freezer, that goes away. Bit macabre, I know, but fuck it. So what you end up with is a freezer, but the way you unlock the infirmary, which is where the staff room that replenishes minion health as opposed to endurance, is by whenever your first minion dies. So if I send my minions after these guys, 1 or 2 might die and then I get the infirmary. It's not a big deal. I'll get the infirmary. Literally, I could just kill one of my minions myself and that's how I get an infirmary. Who cares? So the way rooms like this work is they consume power. You generate a native +20, but you will need power generators, pretty sharpish. This draws -2, these guys draws -1 each, and what it means is as long as this room is active, people will staff these desks as they are doing currently, although pointlessly right now because the thing is unlocked until 5, 4, 3, 2, there it is. So, this is the world map where we do our domination. I'm pretty sure the highest ranking is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 60s, so of course the highest ranking whatevers is Washington DC and Moscow, who are both terrified of being spied on. The rest of the world you can access much more easily, like for example Antarctica has no security and is already immediately, I can see all the information I need here. Which is to say, it gives you basically no money and gives you basically no, you know, it's hard to measure what the hell these mean. They just kind of, you eyeball the figures, the higher the numbers the better or worse. So, what you end up with is a room that consumes power and people staff, and if you don't need this room to be staffed right now, because for example no one's in the world map, you don't need to be monitoring anything, you could well just turn this to 0. Everything turns off, it's no longer consuming power, everyone quits as it were, and they get on with their day. The stuff starts making, like if I turn it back on, hear that noise? That's everything going. Turn it off, it's all silent and the screens are dead. It's pretty cool. And what you end up with is a room that's no longer drawing power pointlessly and wasting minion resources. When I was a kid, I used to have this on all the time because it was nice to just scan over and see a room full of busy working people. But you'd be surprised at how much of a drain. I mean, obviously it's a drain on power and people, but you'd be surprised at how much, even with like what seems like, okay, what, 12 people, about 20 people, but that's a fair number of people, even with the mod that doubles the population size. At full capacity, that's 10% of the entire staff are in there. That's a huge deal, and everyone can man that, so your valuable scientists and everything might have randomly prioritised this over their actual jobs. Now, in rooms and times where you want more people than average, you can increase this, and people will be waiting, you know, around to relieve the next person from their position. So they will be just standing around, so you have a constant stream of people. This is less useful than it sounds, but it's very useful if you want to pointlessly populate a room for the purposes of you're imminently expecting an agent attack, and you want to have high minion concentration, more so than average. So to wrap up, just this first kind of walkthrough, I will complete the first mission, which is, I think, easy as just moving this guy in here, because to be perfectly honest with you, he's already been built, there's no sense wasting money. Once that's done, here we move, this will become the storeroom, I will delete this storeroom, the gold will transfer into here, and we're away. And to finish the mission, I will also have to send what's-his-face off to kill... Where are they? I'm looking at the minimap down the left here. There they are. So I send him all the way over here. He's just patrolling the base, I think. Yeah, just doing nothing. They have kind of idle activities, which are useless mostly, because they're patrolling, but they don't identify agents. Unless the agent attacks them. And that's the problem with soldiers, which I'll get to in a minute. But, yeah, once this is all said and done, the game will actually begin to progress properly. But suffice to say, the world is broken up into regions, and there are 5 organizations. So there's Patriot, I don't know what they stand for, you could come up with something funny there. It's Patriot, which is the US and their Pacific allies. There is Sabre, which is the British Empire and the Commonwealth. Each of them is 4 regions, by the way. So you've got South Africa, India, Australia, Europe. You've got the 3 parts of America and this guy. You have Hammer, which is the Soviet Union plus Cuba. And then you have everyone else. You have a sort of EU of the Third World. You've got the Middle East, you've got North Africa, you've got South America, and you've got Antarctica. Basically nothing ever happens in Antarctica. There's a couple of missions, to be fair. I'm sorry, I just whacked the mic if that was noisy. Missions will be provided in the form of little tags here. Oh, for fuck's sake. It has a little glitch there. It should say, you know, yeah, that's annoying. Maybe I can fix that. But yeah, that should just say, like, you know, minions required, minions in region, but it's obviously defaulted to some kind of coded file name. So these will be the missions that you can do. You can do them once. They're not redoable. They give you a little narrative. They tell you what's needed, and they don't accomplish much more than they up your notoriety, which is here, which is a measure of how feared and respected you are in the world, which has several bonuses, but also downsides as you attract worse and worse attention. And they will also increase heat, which in a given alliance measures how... So if I go back here, I bet he's already... Yep. Where the fuck is... Do you give up and just walk away? Okay, oh yeah, so these guys, because they're tutorial guys, they don't even knock out your health, they knock out your endurance. But, now, so you see, these guys got on the leave, but you see that they've got that red ring around them. Before that was all blue, now it's red, and that measures they are 1/4 the way towards being like, holy shit guys, this is the end of the world. Now, ship agents like these guys, except not specifically these guys, because again, tutorial, will probably be happy with that. And in fact, these guys immediately lose it. That's how pointless these guys are. But, okay, here he comes. He's going to come in and shoot them. No one cares about that. No one cares about that. Yep, so there's the freezer. He killed one of them. He's going to kill the rest of them now. They're easy to deal with. But you see, they immediately went back up. Being attacked also counts as, like, suspicious. and they've gone up, and sometimes they will leave, and other times they will hang around and try and collect more evidence. So that's everything done, I think. Oh yeah, now we have to capture and imprison the maid, but I'll stop here because I'm conscious of the fact that this may not have been recording this entire time. I may have just been speaking at the void. But suffice to say, your heat goes up per alliance. So you can have high heat in America and they're sending their best guys after you, but you could have left Saber alone for a while and they've sort of like, they're not chasing you so vigorously. As well as this, you can also just steal passively in the world, and that's where the, again, no one's on at the moment, but each of these little markers here, the weird shield with an eye represents how dangerous this region is, i.e. how patrolled it is by agents. It doesn't really correspond, it does correspond to some kind of timer, but they don't tell you what it means. It just means generally on a 1 to 5 scale, this is 5 dangerous. That's all really information you get. And the money is on like a 1 to 9 scale, so it's on a wealthy status. This is 9 wealthy, and obviously the wealthier it is, you get more money per minute. Because the way it works is on a timer. The number of minions in a region will steal every 60 seconds an amount based on how good they are at stealing and how wealthy the region is. So in a really poor area with really poor minions, they will be pulling like $50 each a minute. But the same minions in a really high wealthy area, even though they're shit at stealing, will be drawing $500 a minute. And then if you bring in like your top guns who are the best at stealing, including this guy here, you end up with loads and loads and loads of money coming in every minute. Now these guys are going to sit out there for a while, and that's not good because they will begin to, as you see, deplete, and also they give off heat because discovering body bags isn't the best thing in the world. But that's sort of the way the game works.